Well. It's finally here, boys and girls. We've got the NBA preseason. It's not quite the full regular season, which we're, a little less than 2 weeks away from, but it's something. It's something to look at every day. It's a reason to wake up in the morning, even though we had football almost every day this week. I'm excited. It sounds like you're feeling about the same.
Yeah, I'm pumped, man. I'm excited to break this down. I think the more we do, the bigger edge we're going to have. And yeah, man, I think this is something we're going to really add to our repertoire, and I'm excited to make this members-only video for sure.
So if you heard that, guys, if you're new to the station, we're going to be doing our best to cover the NBA preseason. It's not an exact science the way the NBA regular season is, which clearly isn't exact science either, but it's a little bit more precise. You know who's going to play. They have to make announcements. So we'll do our best. It's a little bit riskier, of course, but I think the plus side of that is it's risky for everybody. And there's going to be a lot of people playing in these contests with terrible information, which can get you a little bit of an advantage if you are willing to put the work in. Subscribe to the station if you're new to it. We'll be here basically every single day that we can be trying to help you guys out. We're ready to do the best that we can on the preseason right here, and I'm excited to go through this for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I am too. Just so I'm clear, this is members only, right?
This is members only, but for the public. We're going to do first day for the public.
All right. I was confused about that. Got it.
No problem. Guys, a couple other announcements before we get into the actual slate. I do run a couple of fantasy basketball leagues. Had a couple people drop out this year. And if anybody's interested, just hit me up in my DMs if you're interested, Twitter or email, anything like that. They're $100 on ESPN. A couple spots available in a Roto League and a head-to-head league. Just let me know if you're interested. As far as signing up to the DFS 5-pack, we've got a couple of deals currently present right now. If you sign up to be a monthly customer, you get both sports. You get NFL and NBA. Anybody who signs up this week to be a monthly customer gets half of their first month reimbursed. And while we will not be doing actual write-ups and summaries for the preseason, we'll be doing members-only videos like this one for the private customers starting tomorrow. This one's going to be just for everybody. But tomorrow, these detailed ones won't be. Good reason to grab a membership. We'll be posting extra things in the Facebook groups when we find out about them throughout the day to try to help you guys out the best that we can. So it's a great time to sign up for a membership. Otherwise, if you're about done with the NFL season and you just want the NBA package, I'll try to get that up on the website this weekend. But in the meantime, we're doing tiered pricing this year. So we had a couple of smaller tiers to give people sick discounts. Those have filled up already. So we're bumping up to a new tier. It's $75 for the full season, regular and playoffs. You'll get all the preseason stuff extra that we do as well. You can use the PayPal or Venmo address below. It's $75. That's on sale from $120, so you're still getting a hell of a deal. And that about does it. So let's jump into this, Mr. Bellman.
Man, I'm hyped to talk this out with you. This is a little bit of a tease because I'm not big on preseason sports DFS. I'm going to play because we're going over it, but I much prefer regular season. That being said, man, I'm hyped to break this down with you. I think a big reason why there's going to be an edge here is because people won't want to spend the time and do the research.
And I'm going to make a point right now that I know you like, and it's difficult for people to wrap their brain around this sometimes, especially for you GPP players. There is zero shame in leaving money on the table in a preseason contest. There are cheap guys. Look, you can get whoever you want on this slate. Most of the best players aren't playing. Harden, Anthony Davis, LeBron, those dudes aren't even in this game. So there are going to be no-name players who barely have a role on their teams this year, or maybe don't even, that can outscore very, very good players. So leaving $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on the table. I mean, if you're trying to differentiate yourself in GPPs, go have at it, Hoss.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I know you love that.
Yeah, and you're right. This isn't about how good a guy is. It's really about how many minutes they're going to play.
Yes, that is the biggest thing. So I spent some time the last couple of days looking for websites where you could find how many minutes per game guys played in the preseason last year. And then you also have to make adjustments for coaching. For example, last year, RJ Barrett played damn near every minute of the preseason for the New York Knicks, but they have a brand new coach. So there's no reason to think that type of strategy is going to be implemented this year.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
So we're going to go game by game on this one. And at the end, maybe just go through a little bit of sample lineup building. Our goal is to hop back on here this afternoon, and we're going to do just kind of our favorite plays after we have a little bit more time to think about it as well.
Yeah, a normal public video. So I'm happy it's only 5 games.
Yeah, if it was 12, then I'd be overwhelming.
For sure.
Okay, so we're going to start with the Orlando and Atlanta game. I also want to reiterate to people, One of the reasons I love playoff basketball is people seem very incapable of adjusting to the difference. Again, just to toot my own horn for a second, which you guys know I don't have any problem doing. It's why I feel like I've won more GPPs playing NBA playoff basketball than like NBA regular season. It's a significantly shorter season. So you have to, in the same fashion, make adjustments for the preseason. This is not the same as the regular season. Got teams like Orlando that play slow and defensive oriented. They could play completely different in the preseason. So especially earlier on, I'm not as worried about maybe some of the things that we have in the back of our mind from the regular season. I think you have to be willing to make some adjustments.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that at all. Especially, first game some of these teams have played in like a year. I think they're going to, I don't think a lot of that structure is going to be there, especially tonight.
Yeah, man. Like, do you think great defensive teams are playing great defense tonight? I don't. I mean, maybe, but I don't think so.
No, it's if there's like if teams struggle offensively, it's because they struggle offensively, not because of the defense.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to even simplify this further. We're going to go team by team in this game. Let's start with the Atlanta Hawks, who actually, for me, have one of my favorite plays on the entire slate, and that's Trae Young.
Yeah, I like Trae Young a lot too. He played a lot last year in the preseason. Expect more of the same with some new faces around him.
So an example of that, like let's say like Nikola Vucevic is the best player for the Orlando Magic. Last year, he played 21 minutes per game in the preseason. But if you flip over and take a look at the Atlanta Hawks, their best player is Trae Young. And this young man played 26 minutes per game in the preseason. That's a 20% increase, right? Like that's a big time.
Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen this year, though.
No, but we can only work off the information that we have. So our best guess that a young man who's a star of your team that has not played NBA basketball in 8 or 9 months now is ready to rock and is going to be excited to be in there. And I would assume that you can count on some of the Atlanta Hawks guys to play decent minutes. And to piggyback off of that, like Rondo ain't playing tonight. Chris Dunn's out. Like Trae Young's going to get his minutes, I think.
Yeah, I get that. It makes a lot of sense.
And also, if you think he's too expensive, it doesn't matter because there is I think the technical term is buttload of cheap guys that you can use to offset something like this. And also a point that I know you like to make, Trae Young's good.
Yeah, he's real good. So couldn't agree with you more. I like the call a lot.
All right, moving down the list of the other Atlanta guys. And I want to reiterate, Rondo's listed as questionable, but that old man ain't playing tonight. He was just playing basketball a few days ago compared to half these other guys. Chris Dunn is out. And then as we switch over to the shooting guard position, as far as like cheaper guys go, I also like the newcomer, Bogdan Bogdanovic. Young guy, will probably handle the ball a little bit. He's kind of that combo 1-2 guard who can play some of the points. He's good at basketball, going to try to get acclimated with his teammates. He's only 4,800. I don't know if I would go as far as to call him a must, but he is a guy that I am looking at in my lineups tonight.
I agree. I like him too. It kind of goes with the Trae point. They're going to try to get this group of guys acclimated with each other. I like it a lot. I think the Hawks are one of the better teams to look at for sure.
I'm with you wholeheartedly on this one. And again, we have no way to prove to you, and we don't know that these guys play bigger minutes than other teams, but you can only go based off of the data that you have. And the data would tell you that you might get a few extra minutes out of these guys over some other teams. And a few minutes when most dudes are maxing out around 25, 26 matters to me.
Big time. I'm with you.
I don't mind Red Velvet, Kevin Huerter a little bit. Probably not a guy like I'm trying to lock in, but I don't think he's if you run multiple lineups, I don't think it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Young man Cam Reddish, who really kind of upped his game as the season went along last year. Looks like he should be in there tonight. So again, I think you could use him if you run multiple lineups, but he's not a guy that's like shortlisted for me.
Same. And also like, this is something to keep an eye on, like if guys are going to be out, I'm sure the preseason news is even less available than regular season news,
Harder to find.
Yes.
Harder to find. So last year, Trae Young led the squad with 26 minutes per game. This year, and John Collins was second with over 25 minutes per game still, which leads me to the Atlanta big man. Like Gallinari's another one. I'm not surprised if he doesn't play at all tonight.
Yeah, I agree. Like definitely more interested in like Capella.
Yes, who hasn't played basketball since the late 1800s, it feels like. He's questionable tonight due to right ankle soreness. So that's something you're going to have to watch for. The nice part about Clint Capella is he's cheap, and it's the first game. So you hopefully will be able to get information on this prior to the game starting. And this is a guy that walks into rebounds. He walks into block shots. I think he'll have instant chemistry with Trae Young with some of those like easy dunks and things like that. If he's in there tonight, I'm interested.
I agree.
So, and I don't hate John Collins at 7,400, but I have Trae Young. I mean, after a while, I don't want to play everybody from Atlanta just in case I'm wrong on how many minutes they play.
Truth.
So, I think we see Atlanta pretty eye to eye, which I like.
Same.
All right, let's kind of just switch it over to Orlando. And actually, the one guy that I do have interest in this game is going to be Markelle Fultz. You know, he's 22 years old. And I got into this one because Overlay actually has a question up here. We haven't mentioned him yet on this one, but this is our show sponsor, Overlay Fantasy Sports. You can sign up at overlaydfs.com. I got a link to their Twitter profile below. I like Markelle Fultz over Evan Fournier in the matchup shop. I would encourage you guys to check that one out. I talked to the guys at Overlay earlier this month, and I encourage them to put up preseason things on here because it's a great opportunity to get people in. And I like Fultz over Fournier because Fournier, you know, he's 28 years old. You know what you have right there. He's a known commodity. Fultz, you're still trying to develop and get him going a little bit. He has the ball in his hand. There's no DJ Augustine this year. Yes, I'm sure Cole Anthony gets some run in this game as well, but Fultz should have the ball in his hand plenty.
Yeah, I like Fultz also. He's definitely my favorite piece of Orlando. No doubt about it.
Right, and if I had Orlando pulled up before, but if we go back to Orlando, like this is what I talked about. I'm a big Vooch fan, and I know you like Vooch as well, but like, dude played 21 minutes per game last year. Like, no way, right?
No chance.
Okay. I think, and this is just a theory, but I think there's no Terrence Ross either.
No, there's not.
So
Vooch is not a guy I'm going to be spending for here, like at all.
Yeah, how long is your boy Isaac out for?
I want to say a while.
That's what I thought too. It doesn't really say in here, but you know, if you wanted to, you know, they're thin in the front court for Orlando. So like, if you were trying to like get nuts with a Kem Birch or something like that, I get it. I just don't think there's a very clear path right here. But the fact that they're a little beat up is another reason I like Markelle Fultz.
I agree, man. And he's also good.
Yeah, I mean, he's an aggressive DFS player, right? The last time we saw this guy, you know, he was putting up some numbers against the Bucks. You know, again, no Terrence Ross, probably limited amounts of Vooch. And he's a guy, like, he is not a known product yet. They want to continue to develop him. You want to get his confidence up, and I think this is a great opportunity to do that.
I'm trying to think about who these teams drafted also, because I know that's something that you don't know too much about.
Well, they took Cole Anthony with the 15th pick.
Okay, and the Hawks took the center from USC, Ngakwe.
Yep.
He might be hurt, though.
Yeah, he's out.
Okay.
Which is good for Clint Capella and potentially John Collins.
Yeah, I don't mind Cole Anthony taking a shot on Cole Anthony at all here.
No, he's a score first. He's a score first type of point guard. You have to imagine he'll be aggressive while in there.
Yeah, he's good. Greg Anthony's son. He was always like one of the top prospects coming out of high school. He was projected to be like a top 5 pick in this draft. Fell a little bit in college. North Carolina wasn't very good. He wasn't necessarily as good as people thought he would be, but he was still very good, and I like him. I think he could be a good pro. He's definitely someone I have interest in here.
Yeah, I don't think he'd get a ton of love either. So, I mean, again, if you're running multiple GPP lineups, he's a guy I could absolutely see getting exposure to. Their third point guard is Michael Carter-Williams. That's another guy. I have zero interest in him. He's an older player at this point. I mean, he's not old, but he's older than these guys. So, like, I think he plays for a few minutes, but I don't think, you know, he's not a main focal point of your team. I have zero interest in him.
Same, like none. I mean, he's an older guy. Like, no, thank you.
All right, next up, we go over to Detroit, New York. And this is going to be a very, very, very difficult game to speak about because I have no idea what to expect out of Detroit, right? I have zero interest in Blake Griffin or Derrick Rose. Old, injury-prone players like this, I cannot expect them to play big minutes. But, like, I don't know what they're going to do with their younger players. Like, they took Killian Hayes. He can play a lot. He can play a little. He can be good. He can be great. I have no clue.
Yeah, I don't think he's a guy that's supposed to be like really, really good right away at the NBA level. Like, I'm not sure how. I mean, I'm sure he'll play here, but like, I have more interest in a guy like Cole Anthony personally.
Yeah, Detroit's the team I'll probably just stay away.
Was that Jordan McRae on Detroit?
Yes,
he's a guy I'd have interest in. He's a guy we know can put up points and put up DFS points. remember it was like him and Troy Brown for Washington. Was he on Washington last year? He must have been.
Yep.
He's a guy that can put up DFS, DK points rather easily. And I mean, this is a perfect type of setting for him, right?
Probably. I don't know what Detroit's plan is. I've been questioning every move they made for the better part of a couple of years now. So it's a team I don't feel very in a game I don't feel comfortable. That's the game inside of the game I don't feel comfortable with.
I get that.
And if you like Jordan McRae, I get that. But it doesn't mean I can speak about one member of Detroit with any version of confidence.
I'm with you.
So this game to me is the ultimate wild card because you throw on top of the fact that Detroit just seemed to throw together a group of guys that has no logical reason to be together. I know you've mentioned that throughout the preseason and throughout the free agency period, that like they just have no path of what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, I'll just piggyback off of that. I feel like that about their whole preseason right here. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one, if you can watch the game, it will, to look at. What's their big man situation? I know they have Plumlee.
They have Plumlee, Okafor, Henson, and Blake Griffin.
I wouldn't play Okafor or Blake Griffin. Plumlee's a guy I wouldn't mind at all. I mean, I'd play him over the other two.
Look, man, I have other centers I like more, and I'm not trying to lock in Jahlil Okafor, but it would be so Detroit for him to play 25 minutes tonight and have 40 points.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's another guy that can put up DFS points. So if you think he might play like that, like if him and Plumlee played the same minutes, I'd rather have Okafor. I just think Plumlee plays more minutes. Who knows?
I tend to agree with you, but it goes back to my original statement. I have no clue what to expect out of this team. Like I would never play John Henson. I would never play Blake Griffin. I get the Plumlee pick. And if I played 100 lineups, I'd probably give Okafor a couple of guest appearances. But this is the team I'm mostly avoiding until I have a better idea of what their goal is.
For sure.
So it's I mean, most of these guys are probably going to get sold off at some point of the season anyway. I don't know what Detroit's thinking. This is a team with no clear vision for the future. Like, I know your Cavaliers aren't very good, but at least they've been trying to load up on young talent. So at least there's something they're trying to accomplish.
I like the Cavs' young talent like a lot more than Detroit. I mean,
oh God, yes.
The Cavs probably don't have anything, but I mean, yeah, I'm with you 100%. So yeah, all right. Well, and then I think the other side of this game is tough too because you got Tom Thibodeau coaching. I think here is where, and I know I sent you like a document to look at where, I looked at that too, and I am really more only interested in like Obi Toppin and RJ Barrett.
So this is the part that I wanted to just make sure that we touched on was last year, the New York Knicks would have been a supreme look as far as, preseason guys. Barrett, 37 minutes a game. Randall, 31 minutes a game. Portis, 20 minutes a game. Scratch that. I said it before. I'll say it again. They have a new coach, Tom Thibodeau, from the best of my knowledge. And I wasn't really able to read that sheet. I didn't blow it up and look at it closely, but from the best of my knowledge, Tom Thibodeau does not play his guys in the preseason like what he does in the regular season. In the regular season, he rides guys really, really hard. But in the preseason, I don't think he is that way.
Yeah. Just curious, why wouldn't you read that sheet? It's got all the info that we're looking for.
It wouldn't blow up for me. I couldn't read it. My old eyes couldn't see it. And for some reason, it wouldn't expand on my computer.
That sucks.
So that was the only reason. It wasn't because I wouldn't read it. It was because I physically couldn't read it.
For sure.
I don't know a ton about Obi Toppin because you're right. I don't watch, much in the way of stuff like that. But I would be more interested in him than I would be Julius Randle. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, he's actually, I think he's 22 or 23 years old. He's probably the most NBA ready prospect coming out of the draft. Was really, really good at Dayton. I don't think he's going to be a superstar at the NBA level, but he should produce right away. So he's one of my favorite players on the slate, I think.
Makes sense to me. And you mentioned RJ Barrett as well. He ain't playing 37 minutes again, but he's also not very expensive. And he's a young guy, and I'm sure Thibs wants to try to get enough feel of what he has here.
I just don't think Barrett's that good, which doesn't really matter. I could still play him here, but I don't know. Yeah, it's them two for me for sure. I'm with you.
Yeah, do you think he's going to be playing Alfred Payton big minutes? Maybe. I have no idea.
I can't see that.
I wouldn't expect it. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, but again, we don't know.
They also have DSJ. This is another team. I have other places I'd rather go because I don't know who to expect. But I'm with you. The guys I would use would be Obi, and probably like again I can get on board with Barrett. I mean, maybe Thibs wants to know what he has with Niakina. I have no idea. It's a new coach on a new team.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's really hard to know.
All right, let's talk about Houston now for a minute. They're taking on the Chicago Bulls tonight.
I think everyone's favorite play on this slate is Christian Wood.
Okay, I get that. And if you're playing a cash lineup, I would expect him to get some love tonight. We have no John Harden. Rumor has it John Wall looks super rusty. No surprise right there, right? He hasn't played in a long time, so I'm assuming he gets eased back in. I have zero interest in those guys. Well, obviously Harden's not in, but I have zero interest in Wall.
Yeah, it's hard to play Wall at that price point, not knowing what he's going to give you, how many minutes he's going to play. You assume like if he's playing well, they're not going to stress him at all.
Yeah, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's just not a guy I want to spend my big money on.
For sure.
All right, next up, a guy I could understand playing, even though he's a little bit of an older player, would be Eric Gordon. Like, this is a team that's got all of their ball handlers. Harden is not in there. Obviously, he's the main ball handler. John Wall is probably not going to get stressed tonight. Eric Gordon's cheap, could run the offense a little bit. Again, I'm not going out of my way to roster him. But the last time we saw Eric Gordon in the playoffs, he was playing aggressively. He was getting to the hole. If you want to take a shot at him at 4,300, I don't mind it.
No, also, I mean, I think the cheaper guys here too, though, like Chris Clemens. I mean, Jerian Grant, even. Yeah, I mean, not excited about it, but I don't mind getting weird with Houston because we know that, they've played a fast pace before. I'm sure that their style will change this year, but that's what these guys know. So I expect Houston to have good fantasy points. Thank you.
Yeah, I also don't expect Houston to play great defense. New players, new coach, not a lot of chemistry probably yet. So there wasn't guys on Chicago like I was in love with, but I can't imagine Houston's playing top-tier defense tonight at all.
Agreed. I mean, it's just hard to know exactly where to go on Chicago.
So you're hearing, from the best of your knowledge, you think people are going to fall in love with Christian Wood tonight?
Yes. I mean, yes. On that sheet, one of the best plays on the slate. Christian Wood should be the alpha. A couple of people have messaged me this morning, like, are we playing NBA preseason? Because lock in Christian Wood. You know what I mean? Like, people are on him. Again, I could be wrong, but it seems obvious when you look at this slate, right?
Well, again, you have all the money in the world to roster anybody you want. I wanted to make sure. I couldn't remember how old he was exactly. I thought he was 24, but he's 25 years old. So he's a relatively young guy. He puts up DFS points in a hurry. He's definitely going to play more minutes than PJ Tucker, right?
This is something you talk about also. Like, the DFS community has gotten smarter. Like, everyone knows Christian Wood puts up DFS points, right? Like, everyone knows that when he plays, at least everyone in the know. You know what I'm saying? And I think those are most of the people that are playing NBA DFS. So, I mean, yeah, this could be a breakout like spot in general for Christian Wood, like just this year.
I mean, I'm sure he's going to get drafted too early.
Probably.
In fantasy basketball drafts this year.
Probably, but couldn't you see him like putting up really good stats on just a shitty team?
Maybe, but like, what if Harden's still there? I guess this is a team, like, I just don't know what the goal is, right? Yeah, like, is Harden getting traded today? Is he not getting traded? Is he moving along? I have no idea. The one thing I know for sure, he won't end up in Milwaukee, even though he said that. I just don't know what's going to happen here.
They also drafted, or not drafted. They also signed Demarcus Cousins.
So. I was literally just going to say that. He's questionable tonight, but much like John Wall, has not played in many, many hot minutes. So I'm not interested in him. But like, I've heard rumors that he looks good right now. And the last time Boogie Cousins was healthy and playing, he was a freaking stud.
And I know him and Wall love each other. So I wouldn't play them tonight, but definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, man. And if Harden and Cousins are both here and playing well, and John Wall, like, Christian Wood may not have that big of a role.
Yeah, I just say no way Harden's there. But they'll bring in pieces they get for Harden.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is a team in disarray and an influx right now. As far as the regular season goes, like, I talked about how I have a couple fantasy basketball leagues going. Hit me up if you're interested. I mean, if like you were drafting tonight, I think Christian Wood is about as big of a variance of a player that I could expect.
I agree.
So, all right, man. Let's move on to the Chicago Bulls. All right, you back now?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, we cut out for a second. So let's move along to the Chicago Bulls. Did the Bulls get a new coach? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yes, off the top of my head, but
Why that matters, again, is you just don't put a lot of stock into what guys played last year in the preseason.
yes, exactly.
As far as the Bulls
I
go,
don't know if they did.
let's look it up real quick. I looked up most of these guys. It was the one team I forgot to look up. Or maybe I did. Billy Donovan. Yeah, he's new, right?
Yes, Billy Donovan. He's from the Thunder.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I did look up somebody new. I know I looked up a bunch of these yesterday. My old brain wasn't remembering it. I can get on board with Wendell Carter at 4,700.
It's funny that you didn't read the sheet because, like, you have a lot in common with what the sheet says. Because, like, that's who the sheet likes too.
Well, I mean, he's cheap, right? And he's talented.
That's the thing about the Bulls. They've got a bunch of guys like that.
Yeah. I mean, generally in the preseason, I'm looking for cheap, talented, young.
Yep.
Um,
They drafted this Patrick Williams. It's kind of a surprise pick there. I don't expect him to be – he's more of a defensive-oriented guy. I don't expect him to be a guy in DFS all year. I could be wrong, but I just don't expect it.
Yeah, this is another team where, like, at this point, I don't think they're going to stress Zach LaVine, so I'm not really looking to use him at 7,800. I could be wrong.
I'd play Kobe White over him probably.
Me too, although he's also very expensive.
He is, but like you've said, money is not really an issue.
Yeah, is he one of your priorities as far as expensive guys goes?
I'm not sure yet because I haven't really, I haven't fully broken down the slate, but I wouldn't mind it if I got there. I'll say that.
Yeah, they are. The Bulls are a team that new coach, a lot of guys within the same talent range. Like they have no studs, but like Wendell Carter, Otto Porter, Markkanen, Zach LaVine. LaVine's their best player, but like it's all very, very close to me. Like how they rank. Like Kobe White had some great moments last year. I get it if you like him. Shadaransky's not that bad.
Well, I think LaVine is their best player, but he's not a superstar. And they've got
Agreed.
They've got guys that could potentially surpass LaVine.
That's kind of what my point was. Like I think LaVine's their best player, but at the end of the year, if Wendell Carter or Markkanen or White were their best players, I wouldn't be surprised.
If the Bulls want to be good, they need one of those guys to be better than LaVine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Bulls aren't making the playoffs. The East is too strong now. There's no way.
I agree.
So I don't know. I guess Chicago's not a team that like I have locked in for tonight. I'll go back to what I said earlier. I don't expect Houston to play great defense tonight. If you think the Bulls might light it up, go do your thing. I just don't know where to go. Wendell Carter's my favorite because he's also really cheap.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Get some rebounds, right?
Yeah, he'll get some boards. I mean, he's also good. So, yeah, I'm more than fine with that.
All right, let's talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, which are an interesting team tonight because the best players in the game, they got two of them, and they're not playing tonight. This is the team that was most recently out there, and I'm going to assume – I've already naturally gravitated to Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell on this slate. I don't know about you.
What about Kuzma?
I can get on board with Kuzma as well. Kuzma's cheap.
Schroeder and Harrell, I'm with you. Man, this sheet loves them too.
Okay.
Starters only played first half last year. No LeBron, no AD, and I don't think Gasol will play that much.
Hell no.
Caruso.
Sure.
Yeah. Yes. I like the Schroeder and Harrell call too. I think that they're
right,
like I know that Horton Tucker is a guy that they like that can score and shoot threes. Like if there was ever a slate to play him, it's this one.
No arguments here. I think Schroeder will be aggressive tonight because he normally is. And without LeBron or AD around, it's his time to kind of really get rolling. And I think Montrezl Harrell makes a lot of sense, especially because he has power forward eligibility. I think this dude cleaned up in the preseason last year, if I remember correctly. I know it was a different team again, but there's no Anthony Davis. And not that it matters that much, but I think he does have a bone to pick with the Los Angeles Clippers. And even though it's preseason, I'm sure it won't hurt his hustle at all tonight.
I like that call, and I'm with you. I don't think it's like the end-all, be-all, but I don't think it hurts him either. My only issue with these guys, and it's like, it's a lot of this slate, is that they're vets, right? So I don't think they're going to care too much about preseason. I like your point about the Clippers, but the other flip side of that is like I do like young guys, but they're much more of a crapshoot because you don't know which young guys, you don't know how good they're going to be. So I get it.
Sure. And I think the other thing I like about Harrell, look at the other big men for the Lakers. Marc Gasol is 1 billion years old. Markieff Morris is old. Anthony Davis isn't playing. So I do think that's good for him. Jared Dudley is 1 billion years old. So I think that it doesn't hurt his ability to see decent minutes tonight.
No, I agree. I mean, he's going to play more minutes than all those other guys. I'll give you that for sure.
I would think so. Again, we're doing our best guesses, guys. Like everything we say on here is our best educated guess. But at some point, we're going to be wrong on this video, no question.
Of course, but it is what it is.
All right, moving over to the Clippers, another interesting team tonight.
I don't think Paul George or Kawhi play.
I would bet good money they don't play. I mean, they don't play regular season games. Why would or fourth quarters in the playoffs? Why would they show up here?
I mean, this is a team I definitely like the young guys. I don't expect like Serge to play a lot if he plays.
I'm also going to call a quick timeout for you. What did you think of the Paul George max contract extension yesterday?
They had to do it. They traded so much for him. He's the guy Kawhi wanted. They're building around Kawhi. So in essence, they're building around Kawhi and Paul George. They had to do that when they made the trade for him. It's obviously an awful deal. I mean, Paul George is right now at like his lowest, value. So like, I don't think it's fair, but yeah, obviously he's overpaid, man. He's not a max superstar player that you could build a team around. I mean, he's not.
Do you know how old he is off the top of your head?
I mean, wow. I want to say like 31.
30 years old.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. They had to do it. It's not like oh my God, they gave Paul George a max extension. What else were they going to do?
I agree. I basically just agree with you. I think it's a bad deal. I don't disagree, though, that they kind of had to do it. They almost had to bend at Kawhi's knee right here, and they mortgaged their future to get this guy. And you're right. He's at his lowest point. But I'm not sure, do we expect him to get better? He's 30 years old. He's been in the league for 10 years now. I don't see him improving. If anything, he's getting older. He's had some bad surgeries. I could see him getting worse and worse and worse and less athletic.
I don't think
slower on the defensive end.
I don't think he needs to improve. He just needs to play better in the playoffs.
Sure, but he's not on the ascension. If anything, at that age, with all the injuries he's had, he may not be the same guy. He's had some bad injuries.
I agree. I mean, listen, if I'm thinking of the top 10 players in the NBA, he's certainly not on the list. I mean, no doubt about that.
No, I think the NBA rankings came out, and I think he was 20th. And while I would not put Zion ahead of him yet, I think that was the big topic the other day, because Zion hasn't done much, right? He's played, 12 games in the NBA. I thought the ranking of the 20th was about right.
If I'm starting a team, I'm definitely taking Zion over Paul George.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm just saying, let's not project for the future. What are you right now? If you had to go out and win a basketball game tomorrow, there's more than 18 guys I would take ahead of Zion to win a basketball game today.
I agree, but I'll say this about Zion and Paul George. Even if you only gave me 5 years, I'm taking Zion. 3 years, maybe Zion.
I was going to say 2. So, I mean, I'm on the same wavelength of you, but I just don't think you can rank Zion ahead of guys like that based on a couple games.
I agree, but Zion could easily be better than Paul George this season.
No arguments here. And I'm a Paul George hater, so that's really easy for me to agree with you. But if you want to take somebody else that I'm not a hater of, I mean, Zion could be in the MVP conversation this year for all I know.
They just gave up so much for Paul George also. It really crippled them. So, what else were they going to do? I'm sure that they guaranteed him a max deal when they traded. You know what I mean? It was a bad deal, but that's the NBA. You know what I mean?
If they don't win a championship with Kawhi and Paul George, I think this might go down as one of the worst decisions in NBA history because they mortgaged their future. I like Shy. They gave him up along with 4,000 draft picks. And then they signed this dude to a max contract who I'm with you. I don't think he's a max contract player. I think this may have been, this is going to hurt the Kawhi legacy too, right? The fact that they choked last year and then he made him do this.
I think that's the question. Honestly, if they never make that, and they had to make the deal for Paul George, but you surround Kawhi with Shai, Gallinari, all those picks, they're a better team.
I agree.
I don't even know how good Shai is. Like, he's a guy that I think could be really good or just another shooting guard. But he could be really good.
I mean, he's a pretty good player, and he's young, and there's definitely room for ascension right there. Like, Paul George is going to be, at best, at his plateau, if not on the decline. Like, Shai has room to grow. If that three-point shot gets even better, he's pretty good.
This is a throwback. Like, do you think Shai will be better than, like, Monte Ellis was?
I like that call. I think he'll be at least as good as Monte Ellis.
Because Monte Ellis was, like, really good, a really good scorer, but, like, no one thinks about him as, like, you know what I mean? Some, like, Hall of Fame type player.
My first thought was Steve Francis.
Ooh, I like that too. Well, both those guys are in, like, very similar molds. I bet a lot of people watching this video don't know who either of those guys are.
Yeah, you young bucks out there. And the thing is, like, Monte Ellis was a much better outside shooter than Steve Francis, who was more of a driver of the basketball. But, like, Shai's at that right now where he's not a terrible three-point shooter, but he's not like a really good one yet. Where does that three-point shot come along? Which you need in the modern NBA as a shooting guard.
Definitely. So it's fun talking about NBA with you. Oh, I'm glad you clicked on here because another guy I like that we've seen play well before is Terence Mann.
Sure. The Clippers have a lot of guards, but Beverly, Jackson, Williams, these are all old players who I don't expect to see a big run tonight. We saw Kai Bowman, have some moments last year when he was playing for the Warriors. I mean, I don't feel safe with it, but if you're trying to get crazy, who knows what to expect?
I'm with you.
That's my problem with the guards on the Clippers is it's a late game. We don't expect Kawhi and Paul George to play, but, like, what if it's still an unknown? And, like, what if they just want to knock the rust off and just, like, change it off and these guys play 15 minutes? Well, that eats into everybody. And if we don't know, we don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. If we don't know, we don't know.
Because we know LeBron and AD are out, but we're just assuming Kawhi and Paul George don't play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Luke Kennard's another guy, man. Like, I like Luke Kennard. I thought this was a decent ad by them. He's not going to change the world, but, he can put up offense.
I agree. He's a guy I could play here also.
I could play him here. I don't feel safe with it, but I don't expect, like, Marcus Morris, Kawhi, and Paul George, all these guys who are older veteran players who played big minutes to be out there. Nick Batum.
Amir Coffey. There was a game in the bubble where I played him, and he got, like, I had a really good day. He went off that 39 spot. So, like, yeah, like, these are the guys I'm interested in.
Right. Like, as much as you don't like preseason, because we're focusing on it from a business perspective this year, I think you might actually really get into it because.
Yeah, I am. I can already tell right now because I think there's an edge, and I love this, like, the random. People already feel uncomfortable about leaving money on the table, but, like, even if Kawhi plays, like, I could see Coffey outscoring Kawhi because Kawhi might play 10 minutes.
Absolutely, and you have no problem losing some days in order to hit it big the next day, like. And that's something people struggle with, right? Like, they got to play the safe plays. I'm right in that mold right there. I hate losing, so I don't play as aggressively to win the big money. And I feel like this type of format could really play out for you.
Yeah, man, I'm, like, really hyped talking about this, especially because, like, I do have a good feel on the rookies. I watch college basketball. Like, doesn't mean I'm going to be right, but, like, I have a good idea of who's going to be able to, like, score right away. So yeah, man, I'm hyped about this, honestly.
And the more information we get, the more I might like this. The guy I also really like for the Clippers, I almost forgot about Zubac.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, this is one of the guys I have shortlisted at center. He puts up good numbers while he's out there. Again, we both do not expect Ibaka to play big minutes. Ibaka's got to be at least 32 years old right now, I would assume. I like the Ibaka ad, but there's no reason to stress him in the preseason. I think Zubac could play 25 minutes tonight, and it's one of the centers that is shortlisted for me.
I always was afraid I was going to get to a point in my life where I was calling professional athletes old when they're, like, 4 years younger than me.
Yeah, 8 years younger than me in a lot of cases. So,
it's sad.
To me, the point of my life where I started feeling old was when I was watching athletes that I remembered their rookie year when I was watching them retire.
For me, honestly, it was, like, when I started becoming, like, older than college athletes. I started to feel it.
All right. Like, I remember, I grew up watching a lot of baseball, even at a very young age. And, like, I remember Mark Grace and Chris Sabo, their rookie seasons, battling it out for the Rookie of the Year award. And then watching both of those dudes retire, which has been a hot minute now. I was like, damn, that guy played a 15-year career, and, like, I watched every minute of it.
That was a hot minute ago for sure.
Yes, but I am an older folk, so for some of you young guys in your 20s, freaking enjoy it because this shit happens before you realize it.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move over to Sacramento against Portland, and something that I wanted to point out from these two teams is as far as Portland go. All right, you back now?
Yeah.
Just wait for a second. As far as Portland goes, like Dame played okay minutes at about 24 per game last year. This is a team that played deep into the bubble. So, I mean, I know you love Dame as a player overall, but he's not a guy that I'm trying to spend 8,700 on today. I'd rather go down to De'Aaron Fox at a few less dollars.
Yeah. So Kings look good here. Last year they played almost full run in the preseason. They even played an OT in one of the games. No Bagley, Whiteside's questionable.
Fox
Holmes,
played 27 minutes per game.
Yeah, like that's a lot. Jabari Parker. I like Fox a lot. He's right there with Trae Young for me.
I'm with you wholeheartedly. And when I did a sample build last night, I had these dudes at the point guard and guard position.
And to go back on your Portland point, like I think my favorite two pieces from Portland are going to be Simons and Cantor.
I didn't read your sheet, but we seem to be thinking along the same wavelength here because Cantor was shortlisted for me today because Whiteside and Nurkic are both unlikely to be. Nurkic, importantly, because he plays for them. But these centers aren't supposed to be here. I just had a brain fart for a second because he was there last year. No Nurkic tonight?
I will say Harry Giles could be sneaky.
Could be. Definitely could be. And as far as Whiteside goes, I just don't expect him to be in there.
He's questionable. I don't think he'll play either. Give me Holmes or Parker, like I said.
Yeah. And I'm with you. Like, Cantor's shortlisted for me. The thing about Cantor is, like, he could crush in 14 minutes here.
Yeah, he's a lot like Okafor.
Yeah. Cantor is a known commodity for DFS points. What if me and you, and probably all 1,000 of you listening to this, struggled with it against Cantor? Is he going to play? And if he's going to play, he puts up points. I expect him to get some run tonight because I don't think Nurkic will be in there.
I agree. I will say, though, like I think everyone will go there, and Giles is an interesting pivot.
I was confused because I also didn't realize he swapped teams.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I could tell. That's why I wanted to mention him again. It makes it very confusing with Whiteside and Giles. But yeah, right. Like, and honestly, I think a lot of people will get confused there.
Definitely possible. I can see the point right there. It makes a lot of sense. It's the preseason, so I'm going to reiterate one more time. We're guessing on all of this, but I just don't have much interest in. Like, I have zero interest in Melo. You can take McCollum and Dame, and they're just not things for me tonight. I mean, these are guys that were playing not that long ago, so I don't expect them to be stressed. These are guys that should be able to get rolling in the regular season quicker than dudes that haven't played since March.
For sure. No doubt about it.
So I'm not looking to go hard on veterans in the preseason, and I'm sure most of you guys understand that.
But a guy like Jabari Parker, I don't mind. A guy that doesn't get a lot of run.
He's also a guy, like, if you're the Kings, like, is there anything here? Like, he's had an interesting career. He's been passed around a lot lately. Is this guy something we should even try to incorporate into our regular rotation?
Yeah, like, they're not saving him for anything either. You know, like, either it's like you said, maybe he might not make the squad, or he's going to be out deep on the bench.
And for any of my fellow Bucks fans listening to this, when they did not hold on to Jabari Parker, people around here were whining like a bunch of crying babies. And I think enough of us who had an idea of what the Bucks were trying to go with are like, he just doesn't fit, guys. He's not a good enough three-point shooter, and he doesn't play defense. And now look at him. He's been on the Bulls, the Wizards, and the Kings.
He's really fallen.
Yes, hard.
Like, really fallen. I mean, he's like, you just said, close to maybe not having a job in the NBA.
Yeah, was he the number 2 overall pick?
Yeah.
And I know he's fun to watch because he's an okay shooter and, like, he would throw down some epic slam dunks, but, like, it's hard to win with guys who don't want to play defense.
He's a good offensive player, but I'm with you.
Yeah, and he's more of the ISO mold, can be a little bit too, which is just not the modern NBA.
No, I mean, especially when you got a guy like Giannis.
Exactly. So, okay. We seem to see the Kings pretty eye-to-eye here, too. De'Aaron Fox is a guy that's on my short list. Any interest in taking a shot at Halliburton?
I don't mind it. he's a guy that I think will be, I don't think he's going to be like a great DFS player, but I think he'll play a lot. So I don't mind it.
I got you right there. You mentioned Anthony Simons is a guy. I can see it. I can definitely see it. Just running through the rest of these teams. Buddy Hield played big minutes last year. And I don't think anybody's going to pay this money for him. So for me, he's going to be low owned if you're looking for a reason.
No Bogdanovich, too.
Yeah. That helps him. It should. Still doesn't mean he plays a ton, but
it's got to just free him. You know what I mean?
You would think so. Derek Jones Jr. has also been added to the Portland Trailblazers. And with if Nurkic is out, he's another big guy who can play some minutes tonight.
Yep.
So, I mean, they got a variety of things to go through right there. Again, you already said it. Marvin Bagley ain't going to be a thing tonight. Bielisa is a little older than anybody I plan on going with this evening, but I don't know. So if I was building a lineup like right now, I think Canner's a guy that I have very much shortlisted. We mentioned Trae Young and De'Aaron Fox are guys that I like a lot right here. At the shooting guard position, Schroeder. Ha! Jinx. I think the guy. Yeah, I was looking at Bogdanovich right here, or Toppin. I'm going to go Christian Wood. And Harrell. This does put me in a spot where I'm going to have to get one of these guys out of here.
What's the min price? I can't even remember. 4?
4.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a preseason thing, but they bumped it up to 4 this year, I noticed. And it might go back to 3 in the regular season. I don't know.
So honestly, like, who do you think you'd get out here? Because getting out like Bogdanovich, Canner, I mean, don't really do anything.
No.
You could get out Bogdanovich if you really wanted the rest of them and go like 4,200 players or whatever. Like, you could do that.
I mean, Christian Wood might be popular, guys, but he's 7,500. I don't mind getting off of him personally.
That's fair. I mean,
I definitely don't think you have to. Like, you could go with Obi Toppin right here, and that would give me 6,500. Now, I don't have anybody in that price range that really works for me, but I also, I don't have Markelle Fultz in here.
Yeah, I think you could also, instead of I like both Fox and Young, but I think you could take out Fox and put in Markelle Fultz. And then you could go back to Christian Wood instead of Toppin. You know what I mean?
It gives me 7,100.
Like Kobe White.
Kobe White, Buddy Hield. And don't forget that you can leave money on the table. Clint Capella if he's playing tonight. Zubac.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Zubac a lot. So if I were to put him in here, this is not the one too. I can make a decision between De'Aaron Fox and Christian Wood. If I wanted to go back to Fox right here, I take out Christian Wood. Or whatever you want to do to play around with it in Marketing. I don't think Marketing's a bad play.
No, I mean, I don't think it's a bad play either.
Still missing Wendell Carter in here I like a lot. Because I think the centers that I'm really looking at are Canner, Zubac, and Wendell Carter.
That's fair.
So again, just to go through the center position. Again, Christian Wood could be played there as well, but I think I would use him as a forward. Obviously, we mentioned Canner and Zubac that are in this lineup right now. Capella, if he's good to go. I mean, we didn't even touch on Mitchell Robinson. I have no idea what to think of him tonight.
Same.
And then Wendell Carter. You mentioned Mason Plumlee. I get it. I think I like these other guys better, but I get it.
You should mention Mitchell Robinson. Nerlens Noel is now there.
Sure, there's another guy, right? We've seen him with good DFS points when he's been getting the run. That's why, I just don't know what to think of the New York Knicks tonight. Why I'm not really shortlisting their guys.
I agree.
So there's a lot of risk in any preseason slate, but that's part of the fun.
Amen.
So I think that about does it, guys. If you want to click the thumbs up button, we won't be mad at you at all. And then we will come on this afternoon and we'll do more of a typical video with our favorite plays after we have a couple more hours to kind of solidify who it is that we really, really like.
Can't wait.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot and best of luck tonight.
Thanks, guys.